Welcome to Elablo. Today we are going to see a story begins with a girl who has just finished reading her favorite romance manga series. She decides it's a good time to kill herself since they can't be apart anymore and the series has been cancelled. But before she can force her way into the afterlife, a man behind her calls out to her. He says what she's doing is dangerous. She thinks the man is trying to stop her from jumping to her death, so she pulls out a knife and threatens him to stay away from her because she has to die. She also says that if he gets close, she will contract a fatal disease that will kill him. But as she points the knife at him, the man just steps forward and gets stabbed on purpose. The girl screams because she doesn't want to kill anyone before she dies, but the man grabs her and tells her that kids these days don't know how to do that anymore. He said, "If you want to jump off a bridge, you have to somersault." Then he lifted her off her face and threw her over the other side of the bridge. He acts very animated and asks the girl that stabbed him what the fatal disease is. He seems very excited to know how he's going to die. He asked her if it is like organ liquefaction or self-destruction. But it was much worse than that. A man falls on a train, splashing red on the windshield. The girl sits there and cries that she did it again, that she dragged someone to their death because it took her so long to kill herself. But while she was still crying, the man's head turned towards her. It seems the guy was still alive. After his body is fully recovered, you want to understand what she meant about that fatal disease. However, instead of bringing the bundle of clothes, he threatened the girl to tell him about it, but she hit him in nut and run off. "Don't worry, his nuts will grow back." She runs away thinking he is a zombie, but catches her and won't let her go, saying that he is not a zombie. But he didn't die. After hearing that her illness was an accident, he wanted to ask some questions, but soon after, the police began to close down the place due to a report of a man splashing red on the train. And now, this is a naked man holding a screaming girl thinking they need to get out of there. He uses his blood as rocket boots to fly into the air. He later explains how he flew with blood and tells her that he regenerated his legs at high speeds and sculpted them to use his flying speed. However, she ignored his explanations as she tried to escape. But he didn't bring the girl just to let her go. He hung her by her legs and told her he had some questions for her. She fears that her misfortune will repeat itself if he continues to touch her. She told him once he lets her go, the misfortune will appear. She says it's okay because she's going to die today anyway, but after a short ride on the merry-go-round, she's too scared to continue and promises to tell him everything she knows about her failure. She said that when she was 8 years old, his parents were going on a business trip together. They hugged and kissed each other goodbye, saying they would be gone for a week. But an hour later, the plane exploded. From that day on, anyone who touched her skin would be hurt in some way, so she started covering herself up whenever she got the chance. To test the effectiveness, the man took the opportunity to slip his hand under her shirt for direct skin contact while still naked. At that point, a box of banana fell on his head from playing carrying bananas. While the man recovering, the girl takes the opportunity to run away, but slips on a banana and fall off the building. After she falls, she can't believe her life is ending because of a banana. She can't do anything exciting or interesting. She's never been in love, and no life got a second season. She can't die yet. Fortunately, the man doesn't let her die so easily and flies in with a meat unit, attaching the bone to the wall to slow her fall. The man says he won't let her go easily because he found someone to end his long and useless life. If he could figure out what was making her miserable, he could use it to create the worst mess he'd ever seen, and possibly kill her forever. Now he plans to take her to his lair to find a way to stop him. Meanwhile, several people in suits follow her flight, and after confirming her abilities, they order the girl's arrest. They were hidden and hadn't come forward yet. We learn the man's name is Andy and the girl is Falcold. Now that Andy has tested the changes that affect contact time, he goes directly to ask her to take off all of her clothes to maximize the surface area. She said no and ran away. He might want to touch her to kill himself, but she doesn't want to take her clothes off in front of him. It's because she didn't explain her abilities well enough, but she won't tell him. As she runs, her jacket catches and comes off, and her hair reveals her Rapunzel's presence. She can't do anything because anyone who tries to cut off her head will die because of her. After hearing this, Andy grabs by the chin and starts cutting his hair. She was afraid something big will happen as soon as he let her go, but he says it's okay. She asks him if he was a barber, and he says he was ages ago. He cut her hair and she was very happy with him. But now that he had finished cutting the hair, he held her in arms for 15 minutes and something big has to happen. Seconds later, Andy is decapitated. But not because of natural disasters, but because of the Those guy who was watching him earlier. They end up arresting Falcout and preparing a capsule to prevent Andy from recovering. Falcout wanted to tell them to leave because she thought they were here to save her, but she couldn't have been more wrong. They're just here to fend for themselves. It's an organization dedicated to manipulating people with strange powers like Andy and Falcout. Falcout was at the top of the priority list. Her power robs everyone she touches of happiness. However, wearing multiple layers of clothing seems to prevent this effect. Her powers are definitely dangerous and worse. They can use her to kill anyone with just skin contact. They thought that Andy was going to kill her. However, Falcout corrected this and said that Andy was only trying to kill himself. The leader of the group gets angry and tells her to shut up. Otherwise, he could kill her because her powers are already too dangerous. But she continues to talk to him, touches her without fear. She thanks Andy for being relatively nice to her. At this point, Andy's accidents strike as lightning, hitting the person holding the capsule and fall into a pit. Andy is now recovered again and can do whatever he wants. The leader tells the others not to panic, that they can't kill him outright, but they can tear him into small pieces and make them remember. After all, he is only an amateur when it comes to fighting. But here he is wrong. Of course, Andy is just a hobbyist at this point, but that's because he suppressed some memories and damaged his brain to save disk space. However, if he could regenerate that part of his brain, he would have 100 years of fighting experience, and no one who experienced that level of immortal body would dream of fighting him and winning. The soup minions were able to deal a lot of damage to Andy, but he easily cut them to death. Then, as the brain begins to slow down from overload, it blocks out all memories again. Soupman realizes that he will be outmatched on all fronts if Andy confronts him, so he takes other covert measures and threatens to kill Falcout if Andy does not decapitate himself. Andy is disappointed that he can no longer fight the man, but if Falcout's life is in danger, he will give him an ultimatum. Falcout tells him to leave her and take care of himself. She was better off dead anyway because she hurt so many people with her powers. But Andy doesn't care about her opinion. He is determined to save her life and will do so even if it means ending up with him in an underground lab. Despite having only known her for 2 hours, Falcout is impressed that she has risked her freedom for him and decides to give Andy what he wants. He knows how to bring about the worst consequences of misfortune, and to do so, he leaps into the air to kiss Andy's head as he falls from his captor's grasp. Andy realizes what he's done and holds the soup down, laughing at Fuko and telling her to hurry while he waits to see what happens. A crazy meteor falls from the sky directly into the building, blowing it up along with Andy and the soup man. It's safe to say that Andy's hideout has been destroyed, and Falcout is furious that this time Andy might be gone for good, and that was the end. Just kidding. On part 2, we will see Andy leaves the building with several teeth and the knife missing from his chest and is grateful for help. Finally, she introduces herself as Falcout and asks his name, but he cannot remember it because it was part of a repressed memory. If you like this video, consider subscribing to enjoy content like this every week. Take care and peace out.